Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, fuck everybody, just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flaws, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, fuck everybody, just do your thing.
Hi, Bullhorn Betty. Thank you for my shirt. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Kids Club.
Do you know how many people say things like, they make me so angry? What do I hear? I have given my power and my emotional state over to someone else. They make me so angry? That would imply you don't have a choice in the matter. When you emotionally mature, you choose how to move your energy, which does not mean you're not without emotion, and it does not mean that you do not experience different kinds of emotion. What it means is you take responsibility and control for how that gets expressed and what you do with it. If I have to tell somebody rules, it's because they're still a kid. They don't get it. If you get the value, I don't have to tell you rules. And I don't like fucking rules. That's like one of the ways I know I'm dealing with the wrong people, because I got to give them fucking rules. I've got 2 kids. That's where I'll employ rules. And even them, I really don't. It's more choices. Dad, can I stay up to 11 o'clock? You're getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. How do you feel about that? I'll do it. Okay, tell you what. You can stay up to 11, but if you're not up at 6 with me, not happening again. Now they have a choice. Now they're learning. I prefer choices and values over rules. Part of the problem with our society right now is we're telling people what to believe and we're telling people what they should do instead of teaching them values, which is causing all sorts of pain in our society. Teach people how to think, not what to think. That's values, not rules.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
My beautiful people of YouTube, what does Bullhorn Betty have on today? What? Half holy, half hood. Means you can pray with me, but baby, don't play with me, right? Good morning. Welcome to a beautiful Saturday morning where we are ridiculously crazy because many of us are up ridiculously early on a Saturday morning while half America is sitting in bed, hungover, and sleeping in. We are the crazy people called the Coffee Club. Good morning. I hope you guys haven't lost your ever-loving mind like Bullhorn Betty. Before we get started this morning, we are handing this over to Layla Santinella. She is a 21-year-old beautiful young lady that is missing from Kingsport, Tennessee. Olivia and I are going back to that location here in just a few days to initiate our third search in the area. We have another missing girl out there, Holland. We will be looking into her case while we have boots on the ground as well. But until we get there, we don't really have a whole lot of information. If you guys have any information on Holland's case, I ask that you send that over to me at bullhornbetty@gmail.com. That's bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Let's get started, folks.
I wish we had paint or a flag. So this is right behind the AmeriCorps, and we found that there's a fence here. So we know that we can eliminate this area because it's unlikely she jumped over this fence to get back here.
Layla Santinello has been missing since June 27, 2023. She disappeared from Kingsport, Tennessee, and was last seen at the marble slab at the East Stone Commons. We have desperately searched for Layla Santinello through deep woods and every place we could find, and she has never been found. Do you know where Layla is?
Because if she was back here, one of the things that, one of our, possibilities is that she scored and got a hot package and may have came back here to use and expired. There is that possibility.
If you have any information about the whereabouts of Layla Santinello, please call 1-800-TBI-FIND. We need to bring Layla Santinello home. God bless.
muted. Oh, thank you, Sonia. Okay, well, you guys didn't hear that whole entire conversation. Well, I had a conversation with myself. It's Saturday morning. What can I say? Maybe if I was hungover, I'd remember to turn my volume on. I don't know. I have no clue here. I have no clue here. Good morning, Sonia. It's nice to see you. Bullhorn Betty is here, present, obviously half awake. The coffee club. Coffee club. Got to remember why we're here. TL, it's nice to see you. Tennessee Road. Good morning, love. Good morning. Skittles is up in the house. Nice to see you, Donna. I think I did say hi to you, but just in case, Rhonda, it's nice to see you. Angie, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Mel C, good morning. It's nice to see you. Pen 1010. Good morning. Good morning. Let's see where we are. Starflower, nice to see you, love. Who else do we have? Steffers is up in the house. Everybody telling me I have no volume. I'm down to where I have no volume. Okay, guys, I got it. I'm muted. It's Saturday morning and Bullhorn Betty is up ridiculously early, giving you guys entertainment. Give me a break. Oh, Lord. Emmy, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Shannon, it's nice to see you. I got it. I got the sound. I swear. The sound's on. Can you guys hear me? I wasn't even down that low. You guys are all screaming at me. I would have never seen it. Thank God I didn't go on a half an hour diatribe about politics, right? You guys, well, we're happy you mute for that, Betty. You can mute for that any day. Okay, I get it. All right, Betty, shut up. Little Scorpion, nice to see you. Good morning. Lord, we're already having fun. I'm already crying, folks. This is not cool. I'm going back to bed. All right, we're done. Have a great day, guys. I'm done. Well, I guess it's a great time. I think it's a great time to turn it over. It's time for Jesus to take the wheel, right? When we're starting to bomb this early in the morning, it's time. Let's turn this over. Let's turn this over to a higher power, shall we? Language of letting go, November 25th. A big shout out to all the beautiful people out there that had an opportunity to cook a lovely meal or spend a Thanksgiving with your family. You know, there's been a lot of family dysfunction across this country. I mean, I think everybody is touched with it a little bit. So for all of you that were able to put all that aside and just sit around a table with your family and just, have some love, family love and family time, bless each and every one of you. Those that were alone, God bless you too. I hope that you don't continue to be alone, right? So if you are alone around the holiday seasons, there are so many other people in your community that are also alone. Find them, invite them. Nobody needs to be alone for the holiday seasons, right? We can give the olive branch, right? We have that neighbor that's the crappy, crummy, bah humbug neighbor, right? But they're just bah humbug because they're by themselves and they're all alone and they're just a miserable person. Go give them a card. Go do something nice for them. Spread some love and joy. You never know. I mean, even Scrooge, right? Even Scrooge woke up one day and was just happy, right? Let's inspire happiness this holiday season. We don't want any more Scrooges, right? So November 25th. Let me get some stronger glasses on. I think Betty is getting blind literally by the day. My vision is just going. What the heck happens after 40? You fall apart. That's what happens. For all the people under 40, when you want to know what happens after 40, it ain't good. Shit starts sagging. Things start happening, okay? It's not a pretty sight, I gotta say. I'm just joking. Kind of, sort of. To all my 40-year-old ladies out there, let's not tell them how bad it gets, okay? Let's let them find out. Let's let them wake up at 44 and be blind one morning like me, right? Everybody is owing of that. Like, you earned it, right? You earned that. You guys get to wait. No, we're not going to tell you how it is, okay? You youngsters, You guys got something coming. You sure do. But that's all right. Bullhorn Betty's going to sit over here. We're just going to sit here and wait for you guys to catch up. We're going to wait for you to catch up. My beautiful ladies in here know what I'm talking about. We don't want to scare the youngsters off. Let them find out for themselves, though. Why do I feel like it's dark in here? I feel like I don't have any light. Interesting. Express your power naturally as gently as you can. When I started learning what it means to take care of myself and to own my power, I talked loudly, spoke up, yelled in orders to set boundaries, limits, and to express myself. Sounds like Bullhorn Betty. Maybe I need to be paying attention to this. Shh. Shh. That was the way to get my point across. That's how I showed people I meant what I said. Still sound like Betty. I did not write this, guys. I just want to let you know I did not submit this into the book, okay? It feels like it's speaking to me, but I didn't send it. I promise you. I had to say it loudly. About 5 years after I started this process of learning what it meant to own my power, I met a bear called Winnie the Pooh. The book introduced me was the Tale of Pooh. Light started coming on. The seed of new lessons began to sprout. To own my power, I could quietly say what I meant. The clearer I was about what I had to say and who I was, the less I had to shout. Owning my power wasn't something I had to plan out, premeditate, or obsess about. The more I took care of myself and connected to myself, the clearer I became, the more natural and easier it became to own my power. My power, including setting limits, saying no, refusing to be manipulated, and saying I changed my mind, often become a natural, graceful, timely expression of me. There are still times in our life when we have to be firm, sometimes forceful, and repeat what we said, sometimes loudly. The quieter and more relaxed we can be when we say what we mean is usually in direct proportion to how much we believe in ourselves. Let your power, boundaries, and expression of who you are rise naturally. Learn to respect the value of responding as gently but as firmly as you can. God, help your power flow through me. Teach me to take care of myself gently and in a way that reflects harmony with myself as much as possible, the people in my life. And as much as possible. Got to use that and. Lordy. I thought that was great. You know, you're talking about changing your life, setting healthy boundaries, because let's face it, when I was on Morbid's channel. He interviewed me. We touched on some very sensitive and emotional stuff in my past, such as, the conversations related around my relationship with my dad. And, one of the things was, I love my father. You guys, the people that come here know the situation. I love my father. My father, he had his own childhood trauma. I can promise you he gave me a much better life than he had for himself. However, throughout our path, it at some point, it just became very, very toxic. My dad holds on to a lot of resentment. So some of the things that I did in my years that I was using, he could never quite get over, even changing my life, even doing all this stuff. It's like he always went back to that dark spot. And it was it wasn't conducive for healing. It wasn't conducive for moving on and, continuing the path of, the life that I was trying to lead. It was always taking me back to that past point in my life. And it was just a very toxic situation. Little did I know at the time that, my dad had early onset Alzheimer's or dementia. I'm not sure if there's a difference or what, but something of that sense. So I think a lot of it, hindsight 2020 may have been medically a medical issue as opposed to him just living in the past. But I'll never know, my door is always open. But I think it's very important because that was a healthy boundary, a very painful boundary, but it was a healthy boundary that I had to set for myself in order to, move forward. It was very hard, and it was something that I did not, scream and fight and everything, when it was time to just let go and let God. It was a very natural, calming situation. And I think that's kind of, I mean, I got a lot out of that statement, but that's really what rose to my mind when I'm hearing about these limitations and saying what I mean, meaning what I say, but saying it very quietly. There's a lot of decisions that we have to make in our life, and sometimes making those decisions are private, and you don't have to just scream them to the top of your lungs. And you can say no to the person, but you don't have to grab the bullhorn and go on the top of the roof and scream that you said no to them, right? Right? Give it up for Bullhorn. Oh. I think this is I don't know what I'm gonna do without my Bullhorn. What do you mean? I gotta calm down. I gotta start being quiet. What? What? Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. Whatever they say. So we went through roll call. We went through her good mornings. I don't know why I call it roll call. I don't have a list. I don't know who doesn't show up and who shows up. I really don't. I don't have a master list back here. Does anybody have a master list? Can you guys tell me who's tardy for the Bullhorn Betty channel this morning? I'm just curious. I'm not sure who it is. So we're going to go on. Yesterday, we were watching a video that kind of got cut off. So we're going to move over. We're going to really be taking just this morning and discussing the Stephen Smith case, because many of you know, I think personally, for me personally, that Stephen Smith was murdered. Okay. That's my personal stance. That's been my position since I found out, since I started watching the Alec Murdaugh case, right? So since I started watching the Alec Murdaugh case, we were watching this, and we knew about the Mallory Beach situation, and we knew about Maggie and Paul's situation. But during this time, I still don't think we knew about the financial crime situation, even up to the point of death. I don't think anybody even knew that there was a financial crime here. Everybody just thought that Alec Murdaugh was trying to duck, bob, and weave assets because of this lawsuit that was being that was coming toward them because of the wreck with Mallory Beach. Paul being behind the wheel, intoxicated. One person lost their life, and there was multiple injuries to the other occupants of that boat. I mean, some of them had gashes in their face. I heard one of them had had a major hand injury. So I've always believed that, when we started uncovering the financial crimes and realizing it led back to Gloria Satterfield and the whole situation, and how odd and weird that whole Gloria Satterfield, I mean, it didn't seem odd or weird at the time. Let's face it. I mean, nobody was the wiser. But when you couple it with two people being shot at the same property a couple years later, you got to look at that one situation. So they exhumed Gloria Satterfield's body, and then people started looking into the Stephen Smith case, because Murdaughs were brought up in that way back in 2015. Long before any of this stuff happened, and they would probably have never been looked at as possible suspects in the case, because it was way before any of these wild allegations were even sniffed of. So everybody's still looking at Alex, Maggie, and the family as these elite, legendary, upstanding socialites, or I don't know if they're socialites, but definitely prominent people of Low Country, Colleton County, South Carolina. Well-known family, well-known legacy. I mean, these folks are in our history books. You know what I'm saying? Our U.S. history books, not South Carolina history books. This family has made it to the U.S. history books. This is a historical event, folks. And so when we go back to this whole situation with Stephen Smith, we're learning that, Randolph reached out to the family immediately. We know because we've watched this stuff go on now for a couple of years. We know that Randolph is the fixer of the family. When any of the boys got in any kind of trouble, especially Paul, he ran to his grandpa to help, and grandpa always graciously helped. So we noticed that, grandpa is out there at the scene and out there talking to the mom and being willing to help her free of charge with his law firm. And it just, we didn't think of it at the time, but now looking back on it, right? Now that we're looking back on after everything's kind of just been exposed and came to light, now we're looking back and saying, and looking at this and saying, this was a prominent family, and there's a scandal like Buster having a heated, situation with another guy, so you're looking at this, not that there's anything wrong with Stephen or his proclivities, how he lives his life, that's up to him. But I think so it has nothing to do with that aspect. I think people were talking about it from the aspect of this being a prominent family. They have a reputation. Were they trying to silence somebody? I think is really what it was. Were they trying to silence somebody? And, to be honest with you, when we started looking at it from that lens, this was after Paul and Maggie were already in the ground. So yeah, many of us said there is a possibility he would be willing to do that. And the mom never thought that something happened. The mom always thought that he was staged there, that something happened to him someplace else and he was planted there. And I'm speaking of Stephen Smith and where his position was in that roadway. And we learned that a lot of the stuff that we thought about this case, we thought that somebody dumped his body there. We thought that it looked staged. We thought that it was possible that this was a hate crime, that somebody saw him walking down the road and was playing baseball mailbox and decided to use him as one of those things, as an object, and were just cruel and drove off. But when we learned, and you guys are going to hear this play in just a second, and then we're going to talk about it further, that it doesn't seem like his injuries were consistent with any type of physical altercation. It wasn't consistent with any kind of automobile wreck. And it wasn't consistent with him being hit with a baseball bat. So how can we have a murder when there's no murder weapon? And so over the last few days, as I was diving back into this case and doing a litany of research to get myself, up to date on this topic, I knew there were some things going on in the Stephen Smith case. I sniff around, you start hearing stuff in your back chats and stuff like that. Especially when they're trying to collect information or get, resources or whatever. It's a long story, but either way, I started sniffing that they were going to be doing some, running some national publications about Stephen Smith. So I started doing some, a little bit heavier deep dive into the case. And so I started finding some things that, really were making me, maybe look at this in a different lens. I'm totally not off the whole murder thing because I still don't know how he got there. But I'm starting to see the possibility of another avenue, of something that was more accidental in nature. And so I'm going to go ahead and play this video because some of you guys weren't with me last night. So we're going to play this video for you, and then we're going to discuss, because I think this is a very, very, very important video. And I want everybody to pay attention to what this doctor, what this person, I don't know if she's a doctor or whatever, she was there. I want you guys to listen to what she is saying. I want you to pay very close attention to the words that she's using, because this is the video that started making me say, wait a minute, we need to take a step back and figure out what we're dealing with here. And it's this video right here.
There was no vehicle debris.
I got the wrong one. Hold on. Wait, this is the one I want to play next. Hold on. It's this one. I grabbed the wrong. No, that's not it either. Hold on here. Where is it? There it is. Here it is. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong video. This is the one. This is the one. This is the one that changed my mind. I think my ad blocker just kicked in again, and I don't know why. What's going on here? Give it just a second. Let me see if it.
Is the bakery?
Oh, that must have been the
One thing
end. That must have been the end of the interview, and it just went ahead and moved over to the other. So let me just get this back. Otherwise, it's going to start.
property.
All right, let me just move this. Okay, I'm just going to take that down on completely to its entirety. There we go. That makes it. Starflower says, do you understand the types of blows that crack a skull? That's what we're going to, that's the whole purpose of this entire live, is literally to be discussing the injuries that were described by that the person that oversaw that autopsy, which was that lady. And she talked about linear fractures, one that, let's see, I think it goes that way, that goes up this way. And we also have the report here. Let me find the report. I've got it up from last night. But we have the actual autopsy report. Is this it? And we were reading it last night, and it was, we found out that the skull fractures weren't really the only injury consistent or the only injury he received. We also learned through the autopsy report that he had a dislocated shoulder as well. And that whole dislocated shoulder, when I was going through all of this, I came to the realization that I think he fell out of a vehicle. I think he fell out of a moving vehicle, whether he was pushed out or he was on the back of a truck and fell out. I'm starting to feel that would be more in line and consistent with this. But at the very beginning of that video we just watched with the gal that oversaw the autopsy, one of the first things she says was a single blow to the head. So is that consistent with him hitting the single blow to the head of his head coming down onto the pavement? Because if he's not struck, there's no, even at 35 miles an hour, and this is what we discussed yesterday for the people that weren't there for the 6:30 segment last night. A vehicle going 35 miles an hour or more, and we know 35 miles an hour is it's a moderate speed. It's low, but it's not too fast, not too low. It's kind of one of those city limit type of speed limits, right? And when you're in a more congested area, 35 miles an hour. So 35 miles an hour, if you are hit with a vehicle going 35 miles an hour, it does massive, massive damage to a body. Okay, massive damage. 25 miles an hour does massive damage. 20 miles an hour does massive damage to a body. Okay, you're talking about a steel object hitting tissue. Okay, a steel object hitting tissue. So those types of injuries, even at 35 miles an hour, you will have, pieces in different areas than where you were struck. Okay, there is a detachment that comes with an impact of that magnitude, even 35 miles an hour or above. Anything over 35 miles, it's catastrophic injuries to a body. So the idea that they are that he was hit, obviously they're saying no, he wasn't hit. When we looked at the police reports last night, we learned that first responders originally thought he was shot in his head when they saw him out there on the road. It really was all head trauma, and it was a single head trauma. And they believe that where he was in that road is where he died, where he hit is where he rested. And I'm thinking, what would put a body in the middle of that road? And it just, to me, if I'm looking at it now, granted, there may be some things that you might think, because that's the purpose of roundtable discussions, that I'm not thinking about. But when I'm thinking where his body was and how he was positioned in that roadway, it was almost in the middle of the road. So if he was on the back of a truck and say a truck gunned it and he flipped out, he would probably, from the fall on the back of the truck, because the truck is driving down the road, one half of their truck is on the side of the grassy side, right? And the other side of the truck, the driver's side of the truck, is on the oncoming traffic side, right? And you have a little yellow line or two little yellow lines down there that divide the oncoming traffic from each other. And he landed right in the middle of that. And according to what we've learned is they believe where he fell is where he died. He was not placed there. So, and it was a single blow to the head. Would that be consistent with falling out of a vehicle? So when I started going through this whole entire case, I came to realization that that's kind of where it's starting to look, or at least, we need to look at that angle, if nothing more, because it's becoming apparent. So I'm going to take a few moments. I'm going to take you guys back into time. We're going to learn about this case real quick, and then we're going to get into the types of fractures that were described and how those fractures could happen. We might be a little bit shocked, but it's learning information. I'm not looking to take anybody off the fence because I'm still on the fence of murder, because even if he exited a vehicle, and by him exiting a moving vehicle that caused his injuries, we need to understand how or why he exited a moving vehicle that caused his death. But I'm starting to think that this was a moving vehicle and that he fell out or was thrown out or shoved. But I believe he was in a moving vehicle at the time, because there's no injuries on his body, only his head and a dislocated shoulder. Would that be consistent with a hard fall on concrete? So I've got, I'm starting to see something, but let's just go ahead and watch this, and then we'll get started on, let me see, do I have the skull? Yeah, and we're going to be pulled to see. I've already got all the research pulled up. We just need to go back. I just want to go back and watch this video, bring everybody up to speed. So there you guys have it. It sounds like we're going to know something very soon about this case. I think it's going to be a shocker for many of us. I just wanted to prepare you guys for the possibility of hearing something that might be a little different than what our thoughts and stuff are. And I just wanted to give you guys a little bit more information. It's kind of hard. I don't think he was walking in the middle of the road. I don't think he was walking in the middle of the road. I think his mother was absolutely correct. He would have never been walking in the middle of the road, but, he would have been walking and maybe somebody picked him up. Maybe they saw him walking and maybe it was somebody that was intoxicated, and wasn't paying attention when he got in the back and he fell out, and the person went home, went to bed, and like, oh, okay, well, maybe he wasn't there. Maybe I made it up, we don't know. But I have thought for a very long time that this case just didn't seem right. There's more to it. And even with that theory, or if that's the way some people are believing, that this really was an accident, or that he may have fallen, there might have been some people that thought he fell out of a moving vehicle long before Bullhorn Betty, right? But I'm starting to see something a little different now that these new autopsies have been completed. I just had that up here, and I just want to read this for everybody. I'm going to put this up here on the big screen here. There we go. So this, now I can't read. I was trying to read it last night, and some of these words I can't pronounce. Okay, so I apologize in advance, but there's just some things I can't help. I don't know what I'm doing over here. I don't. I went to class to be a CNA, but that was years ago. It was 20 years ago. I don't remember these words anymore. I don't remember these words. The body was a well-developed. It goes through what they thought. They said that his body was warm to the touch rather. But rigor was partially affixed to 3/4 of the body. They go through this, the evidence of injury on here. And they said that there is a 7¼ inch laceration extending across the superior mid to right lateral forehead, involving the right eyebrow. Posterior undermining is marked by lateral periorbital hematomas. Periorbital. There it is. Periorbital hematomas are present. Reflection of scalp reveals bilateral frontal, parietal, and occipital. I don't know. I'm going to have a medical professional read these words. But anyways, it's talking about the scalp and the hemorrhaging. So he had some hemorrhaging. Fractures is extended along the right frontal orbital bone, right temporal, and to the posterior aspect of the occipital. I can't even say occipital bone, can't pronounce that. Patchy something, a hemorrhage over the right cerebral hemisphere. And then it goes on. There it is. The right shoulder, his right shoulder was dislocated. A 6-inch irregular contusion on the anterior right arm. So it's like, his right side, let me put this back up. It seems, and this is my right side here, okay? And this is where his lateral fracture was. So it looks like this hit hard and fractured his skull, cracked the back of his brain, and dislocated his shoulder. I think he fell out of a moving car, guys. Now, it still doesn't close the worry box, because falling out of a moving car can still be both options. It can either be an accident or murder. But I no longer believe he was in that roadway when he died. I no longer believe his body was physically walking in that roadway when he died anymore. I do not believe that. There's no, there's literally no injuries. No injuries. The only injury is the top of the head. And we know gravity, right? When we fall, what position does our body turn into? We go head first. We don't go feet first. We go head first. Our upper body's heavier than our lower body. So when we're propelled, we fall full, we fall over. So I don't know. I'm just starting to get, and you guys know, you guys watched me. You guys watched me for a long time. Do you guys have any questions? Should I open up the phones? I mean, because I know that this has got to probably, maybe somebody's back there screaming, Betty, you forgot about this. you forgot about this important piece. Somebody's probably screaming back there, Betty. So do you guys want me to open up the phone lines? Do you guys have some expression on this case, or Stephen Smith, or maybe some theories that you have? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he didn't fall. Maybe somebody can explain how he got a head injury without leaving an impression and a dislocated shoulder from a different way. Maybe somebody has a different experience, or has been associated with somebody that has had injuries consistent with that. Maybe that hasn't, didn't expire, but might be able to say, hey, actually there was a situation that happened, or maybe it's something like you just totally feel like this is that he was walking there. I'm just curious. I'm going to open up the phone lines just a little bit, because we don't really get a chance to talk very much about these cases. And quite frankly, this is one that I really am looking for and seeking advice from the audience here, because I'm conflicted. For me personally, I have to be honest with you. For me personally, I'm conflicted here, because I have thought that this stunk to high heaven for so long, that somebody had to be responsible for this matter. Who was it? Was it a Murdaugh, or was it somebody else? And we learned about the other two names. I want to say, I know I personally learned of the other two names, but it was after Alec. It was after I got to Low Country. So that means it was already when they were doing jury selection for Alec Murdaugh, because I didn't really cover the case until he was already arrested. And we covered the case, but we didn't do any fact-finding trips or anything like that. We didn't put our feet on the ground in low country. We just did it from here. But when we did go there, I did learn of the other two names, but I never focused on them. And I wonder if I should have, because I always believe in small towns, even though information gets right, sometimes they still have the right people, but the wrong information. For example, in that clip that we watched yesterday of the mom saying, you know, I point blank asked the guy, did you kill my son? And he said, no. But what if they were driving home? They were the ones intoxicated. And they had a pickup truck. And again, it comes back to him sitting on the side of the pickup truck and maybe them accidentally gunning it and him flipping out. And it was just a joke that went terribly wrong. And he got injured. And they're like, oh, crap. This is serious. We got to get out of here. Like, I'm starting to see that kind of situation very clearly right now. Did that happen that way? I honestly don't know. But I can tell you, based upon what I'm reading here, it is a great possibility. Whether we like to acknowledge it or not, it is a great possibility that this could happen. I'm going to turn the phones on just real quick to see if anybody has anything to say related to this. I'm curious. I am truly asking. There are no right or wrong answers here. Murder, accident. I want to know your theory. And I want to know why you have that theory, because I'm trying to see where the information lies. Am I starting to get off base here? Because I feel like I'm taking a detour, right? Because I'm starting to feel different than I've thought before. So if I'm thinking differently, you know, did I do poor research before? Did I not look into this properly? Or was there just lacking of information? A lot of the reasons why mistakes are made is because we don't have all the information, and we're trying to put pieces together. And based on these pieces, it means this. But again, we have to remember his body was exhumed. He got a real, legit, all hands on deck autopsy. I bet you this autopsy is, it was done spectacularly. They had a lot of great minds on this autopsy. Mike says Buster had nothing to do with it. This was typical gay bashing hate crime from stranger to stranger. Interesting, Mike. Interesting. But how do you think the injuries came about? That's the question I have. And it's very possible. Do you think somebody picked him up? I no matter how we look at this, I'm starting to think whatever happened to him, it happened. He was injured from a moving car and fell out of it somehow, whether it was pushed out or, you know, because think about it, even if it wasn't a baseball bat and it was some other hard item, that other hard item seems like it would still have left an impression type of injury on it. I'm unsure. All right, the phones are open. If anybody has any theories that they would like to express, I'm not going to leave the phone open because I can't show you guys while I have this on. I can't show you guys any more information, and we're going to start getting into the types of injuries and what is consistent with those lateral fractures of the brain. And maybe we can get some heads or tails of the information. For example, we're learning, where is the one that I did just read? There was one that actually had, okay, here it is. Here's one that I've learned. So it says linear skull fractures. And that's what this lady said these were. And linear, you know, we saw I keep doing the wrong side. There we go. That way, right there. From his up like this, 7 1/4 inches up on this side, right side. This is my right side. And this is my right shoulder. Right. And they said that the injuries here and here. Right. So it seems like he landed on the pavement on his right side. So much and so hard that it cracked his skull and dislocated his shoulder. He had minimal road rash. So it's like he fell and stopped. Minimal road rash. He wasn't dragged. He wasn't hit. And even 35 mile an hour hit that I was talking where, you know, detachment occurs in that type of impact. even in that type of impact, you have massive road rash. You have a lot of scrapings, a lot of just tearing of the skin in an injury like that. He had none. It literally says minimal. So the way it's described is where he was, he hit, he expired. I think that he probably, I think that this was quick for him. I'm praying to God that we learn that this was quick. And what makes me believe that is because in this autopsy, they describe, blood in the head region, but limited blood in the head region. And what is that telling me? That telling me that if you don't have a lot of blood, that means your heart stopped beating. Okay. Because if you have injuries, your heart is beating, your body's just going to keep pumping blood out. So there was a pool of blood around his head, but it wasn't a significant pool of blood. So that tells me whatever injuries he received, he expired fairly quickly after receiving those injuries, in my opinion. Again, I there may be some factor that I am not thinking about. All right, so the phones are not ringing. I'm going to go on. I'm going to go ahead and move the. If the phones ring, I'll have to go back to it and I'll pull them up. But I am curious about this. So let's get on with the skull fractures and stuff like that. So this is the first article that I got. This is from the UK. So, a medical type of publication. And medical type of publications, medical professionals seek each other all around the world for advice and stuff. So I don't really care what part of the world it comes from, as long as it's a civilized and, country that practices good medical care. And I have to think that the people in UK are fairly healthy. So I will trust the publication from the UK. It says skull fracture. Skull fracture is when hold on. Okay. Give me a second. I got to put this up on the screen. Okay. Mama Bullhorn is in the house. Mama, what do you have to say so far?
Okay.
By the way, Mom, good morning.
Sorry.
Good morning. Who are you and where are you calling from?
This is Mama Bullhorn, and I'm calling from home.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry for being so rude to you. Now, what would you like? What would you like to include?
Well, it's occipital, which is the back of the head.
Occipital. Thank you. I could not. I'm looking at it because it's spelled like occupational, and it's occipital. Occipital. Thank you.
And it's the back of the head near the edge of the skull.
Mm-hmm.
And you have lines throughout your skull from birth. And when you see a skull, you see those little meshed seams. I want to call them seams. They look like your bone is stitched together.
Uh-huh.
He had an occipital fracture all the way across from ear to ear. And then it followed up over his ear and around to the front of his forehead.
Mm.
Now, I'm thinking, because of my past history, he had a coup versus a contra coup injury. Let me explain to that. Your brain is like a bowl of jelly.
Mm-hmm.
And if you hit it from one, like the back side, all the jelly goes to the front side. If you hit from the front, all the jelly goes to the back of the brain. I think he suffered a coup injury. The reason I say that is the biggest fracture he had was on the front side of his head.
So what would cause that coup injury?
A blow. People get it from being rear-ended. They get a contra coup. You can get a contra coup injury, like myself, hitting a windshield or bouncing back and hitting the headrest. I suffered a coup injury with a fracture. That's why I was blind.
Okay. Let me ask you this. You're saying a blow, and I keep hearing this blow to the head. Do you think this is, and I didn't talk to you about this before because I keep forgetting I keep forgetting you've been in the medical field. What do you think about my new theory? Does it hold water?
Yes.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up. Sorry. Repeat that.
I was last night, and it occurred to me he could have been in the back of the pickup truck and somebody just shoved him out, or he could have been on the side step holding onto a mirror catching a ride. You know how you step on the side of a pickup truck, and you're holding on?
Oh, I didn't think about that theory either. I was thinking, yeah, and we've done that. I remember we did that out in Mayaca a couple times.
Yes.
I didn't even think about that. So just literally catching a ride.
Somebody could have slammed on the brakes and bam, he went down. Something on the back of the truck. If he was standing on the truck, okay. If you're standing in the back of the truck facing forward, okay, and the wind in the face, slammed on brakes, and one, he could have gone over the hood of the car, or two, he had gone out the side of the car. It doesn't matter.
Well, I was also thinking about, now you're putting another theory, and what if he was trying to get into the truck and the guy just accidentally gunned it, or maybe going to that hate crime where he was, he saw him, knew him, and offered him a ride. And right when he was about to get in, he guns it, and the kid falls. I mean, it's, I don't know. I just feel like he wasn't on the pavement when he got these injuries. I just feel like his body was off the ground prior to these injuries.
Okay, I still say if they didn't find broken mirror or paint fragments, and a stainless steel truck mirror isn't going to leave paint fragments, but if they stuck a wrench out the side of the door.
But wouldn't that leave the impression? They're saying there's no impression. Because if he's hit with a baseball bat at a speed, it would leave an impression. So if he was hit with some object like a crowbar or a wrench or something, I would think it would leave some type of impression.
Yes, it would.
And then so we're lacking in it. And this is why I'm having these conversations, is because I'm really wanting to learn about this, because I thought he was hit in the head. And they're saying that there's no impression marks from him being assaulted like that.
Well, I think you're going down the right side of the road there.
Yeah, I feel like there's something I didn't see before, and now with this new information from the more recent autopsy, it's like there might be something here.
I'm thinking he was catching a ride on the open back of a truck, or either on the side step, because he was like less than 2 miles from home or 3 miles from home. So
right.
I've done that myself.
Right. That's what I said. Well, I remember doing that. Like when Dad was coming up with that little Toyota, remember we used to jump on the side of it and drive back to Grandpa's? I mean, yeah. I mean, I never thought one time that it would be dangerous. I mean, we're
holding on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I had to say.
All right, Mama. Well, I appreciate it. But yeah, but I think at this point, I think and even with your theory, he's still off the ground. I feel like his body was off the ground. Whatever happened to him, his physical body wasn't walking on that street, that road.
But I missed the doctor saying, I said coup versus country coup, because they didn't say what side of the head hit the pavement. Did he have road rash on the front of his face or on the back of his head? I forget.
They said minimal road rash. I'll pull the I'll open the phones up again too, but I pulled the autopsy report, so I'll read through it a little bit more here in just a few moments.
Okay. All right. Love everyone.
All right, Mom. Well, thanks.
Love ya.
I love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so let me get back over to where I was, the skull fractures. There we go. We can pull it up. So that's what we'll do. If the phone rings, you guys got the phone number. Or if you guys have, if we cover anything and you want to call about it, just pick up the phone and call, and I'll just take it down and we'll listen. So I hear that there is a birthday girl. Somebody is 18 years old. Jules, I hear you have a daughter, Alana, that's 18 years old. This is a big shout out to Ilana. Happy birthday. You finally made it and Mommy didn't kill you. Yay. I have to be honest, you probably don't know how close you were a few times. Happy birthday. Happy birthday from the Bullhorn Fetty channel to Alana. Thank you. I wish I, and maybe we can do a special birthday. Why not? Well, Alana, a happy. Well, a happy birthday. A happy birthday to you. A happy birthday to you. A happy birthday, Alana. Happy real birthday to you. Big shout out. Big shout out. We love the people here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. We love the people here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. So let's get back to the skull fracture topic. You know, we're learning a little bit. So skull fractures, when bones and skulls have been broken by an injury or trauma, the skull is very strong. It takes a lot of force to damage it. This might be from falling from heights, a car accident, direct blow to the head. Do we know if there's any object, and maybe you guys know, you guys watch true crime right along with me, maybe you know. Is there an object that can, oh, you are so welcome. You're so welcome. You're part of the family, and so is your daughter. Do we know if there's any object out there that can hit a head without leaving an impression? Is there something that maybe we're not looking at where this is an assault, so to speak, of the head? Because that's what I'm looking for here. And right now, I'm seeing a lot of injuries on the right side of him. And I feel like it's consistent with a fall from a moving vehicle. But again, you know, I really don't know. I'm interested to hear Ken Kenzie's theory on this, because you guys know how I feel about it. I love him ever since Alec Murdaugh's case, and just how ginger and genuine he was, and how knowledgeable and professional he was, and how the other guy tried to say that there was, you know, the other expert tried to explain that there was two shooters and that one person maybe 5'2" or something like that. And it was like, you know, he was able to get up on that stand and literally poke holes in the defense's expert. And he did it so gracefully. He didn't do it insulting. And he was really able to bring the case home. I really believe Ken Kenzie was just amazing on the stand. Me personally, I thought the state had some of the like Judge Newman. I like everybody there. I just really admire Judge Newman, how dutiful and caring he was, how calm he maintained himself. You know, he never really allowed his emotions about a situation even, you know, appear. He really took his job as the judge very seriously. And I just felt he was fair, very fair. And that's what I love seeing about a judge. That man, he's got my vote. I wish I could vote for Judge Newman, right? I would love to be able to vote for Judge Newman, right, in the next election. You know, next time he's on the ballot, right? I want to vote for Judge Newman. You know, he's just so sweet. And then you have the clerk, which she had a very tough and arduous process in front of her, and she did it amazingly and just got completely creamed by Alec Murdaugh and his defense team, just for doing her job. And she wrote a book about this very historical event that she was in the center of, and she went through all of the hey Pop-Tart, it's nice. It is if he caught a ride from somebody, then wouldn't he leave his cell phone in his car? Just a thought. Why would he? If he left his cell phone in the car, it could have been one of two things. It could have just been it was really late at night, he broke down on gas, and he just forgot it. It could just be that innocent. He just forgot his cell phone. He was trying to wait for somebody. Nobody was coming. It is possible. It is possible. I think Robin, if you're sending me Derek Chavez, I heard about that. Let me see if was that what you just sent me? Yeah. I'll be touching on that in just a second. Yeah, I saw that come in late. I think was it late last night? I think is when I heard about it. It happened yesterday, I believe. But the whole cell phone thing, I mean, it could be that. It could be it was dead. I don't know. I didn't read the report on whether his cell phone was dead or alive. They may have said, it was fully charged, and you're like, oh, Betty, didn't you read the report? No, I didn't read the report, so I don't know if the phone was dead or powered up. I really don't know. But it could be something like that. I don't know. It could be, it's just a number of things, right? I mean, I got to tell you, I've walked out of here, got an hour away from home, and realized I left my cell phone here. And you're talking about a woman that it's like an appendage. Okay. It's like my eyes. It's like when I'm leaving here and I don't have my cell phone, I'm missing my eyeballs. Right. So, but I've done that myself. And this could have just been one of those things where he was just exhausted, tired, shit's not going his way. And he just didn't want to lose his phone on his walk home. He was scared that if he took his phone with him, it might get lost on the way. We don't know. But there could be another possibility. It could be that he was there and somebody pulled up next to him and said, hey, can I help you? I'll give you a ride. And he's like, okay, and just jumps out and gets in the vehicle and leaves the phone there. I don't know. There's a million possibilities for the phone that can be innocently explained away. But, there's also possibilities where it's not easily explained away or has more of a nefarious undertone to it. So what causes the skull fractures? So what they say here is a skull fracture is caused by an injury or trauma to the head. A child may have fallen from a height, such as a playground, and hit their head. Most skull fractures in children are caused when children are playing. Anyone can get a skull fracture. There are 4 main types of skull fractures. The linear fracture are the most common. So they're saying that this is the most common head fracture people get. So he has the most common. And they said they are generally straightforward breaks in the skull. Depression fractures are where a skull has been pushed in. Surgery may be needed to lift the bone if it's putting pressure on the brain. Diastic, I think I'm saying this right, diastic fractures are when the breaks occur in more than one of the bones in the skull that are connected together. This causes a joint to widen. This is usually found in young children because the bone and the skulls have not fused together properly yet. Basilar fractures are the most uncommon and appear at the base of the skull and can risk damage to the spinal cord. So what are the signs and symptoms of skull fractures? Lump, dent, bruising, swelling, headache, confusion, disorientation, dizziness, nausea, loss of consciousness, clear fluid running from the nose and ears, and bruising around the eyes. Panda eyes is what they call it. How is skull fractures normally diagnosed? I want to get to, and this one doesn't have it, I want to get to the types of fractures a little more in depth. And so they go, in this particular article, they talk about the linear skull fractures, and this is a break in the bone. The bone doesn't move out of place. The depression, it's sunken in from the injuries, and this is where This depression skull fracture is where I'm kind of laying a lot of my theory on, because if he was assaulted in any way by any type of object, you know, a crowbar, a baseball bat, a wrench, you know, a number of things, right? Those are all hard objects that would leave an impression fracture in the skull. That's not here. We have linear fractures, which this is in both of these articles, the linear defined in this one is this is a break in the bone, but the bone does not move out of place. And this one here, for the linear fracture, it says it's generally a straightforward break in the skull. So we know what those are, but what causes those types of breaks? That's what we're trying to find out. Is it a fall? Is it something else? Consideration: skull fractures may occur with head injuries. The skull provides good protection to the brain, for the brain. However, a severe impact or blow can cause the skull to break. It may be accompanied by concussion or other brain injuries. The brain can be affected directly by damage to the nervous system tissue and bleeding. The brain can be affected by bleeding around the skull. We all know that. A simple fracture is a break in the bone without damaging the skin. A linear skull fracture is a break in the cranial bone resembling a thin line without splintering, depression, or distortion of the bone. The depression skull fracture is a break in the cranial bone or crushed portion of the skull that with depression of the bone towards the brain. A compound fracture involves a break or a loss in skin and splintering of the bone. So the causes, again, head trauma and falls. Those are the ones that they... So what causes? I thought I had the one that came up here. What causes linear? And they just give us a very vague description. I'm trying to find out. And I think it's because it's pretty vague and because it's only attributed to very limited things. Here's what John Hopkins says. It says, what causes linear fractures? Fractures most often happen when more force is applied to the bone than the bone can take. The bone are weakest when they are twisted. Bone fractures can be caused by falls, trauma, but I want specifically to linear fractures of the head. And John Hopkins further states, in a linear fracture, there is a break in the bone that does not move the bone. These patients may be observed in the hospital for a brief amount of time and can usually resume normal activity. So this was more of a... Linear fractures are the most common. They generally are straightforward breaks. We heard that. So I don't know. It's basically saying automobile accidents and falls as being the culprit to these linear fractures of the head. What was the new evidence found in the second autopsy? Joy is asking. Pop-Tart says, I would like to know what SLED found at the Murdaugh residence that caused them to relook at Stephen's case. You know, honestly, I think they tore when they started believing that Alec Murdaugh, this is just my opinion. I have no facts to support this. This is just truly an opinion of mine, Pop-Tart. I truly believe that they were just tearing Alec Murdaugh's life apart. I think they just looked into every little aspect of him, and because his name was brought up into Stephen Smith, and after all the shenanigans with Gloria Satterfield, I think that I think it would have been, it would not have been smart for them not to look at Stephen Smith, because he is a dead kid, and the Murdaugh name was infiltrated in that case. it multiple times. We heard the mom, I think, say like 40 different occasions the Murdaughs were brought up in the Stephen Smith case. So I think that it would organically happen personally. I don't think that there was any evidence that directed them one way or another to the case. I think it was just that they were doing their due diligence in Alec Murdaugh's entire life. They were going back as far as they could go back. And I think that's when they uncovered, wait a minute, he was associated with this. So now we have, Stephen Smith, Gloria Satterfield. I think they were kind of going down the same realm that I was going down. Is this guy a serial killer, closet serial killer? Is there more bodies we don't know about? I think they had to look at that possibility. And I think that's what led them to Stephen Smith. And once they got once any real legit investigator got a hold of the Stephen Smith reports, they're probably saying this is all foul. They're saying he got hit by a car. Where's the injuries of the car? Because they have reports and stuff that we're not allowed to see that are confidential. The public will never see related to that case that law enforcement gets to see. So they're seeing all this stuff. But the skull fractures, it says head trauma, falls, automobile accidents, physical assault in sports. Physical assaults in sports. So we know that he was not in an automobile accident. We know he was not physically assaulted. We know he was not playing sports at 4 a.m. So the head trauma, it seems like the only thing left is fall. Does that close our worry box as to whether this is an accident or murder? No, it does not. But at least now we can start thinking outside the box and saying, hey, wait a minute. We never thought that he was in a moving car when he died. Nobody has brought that up that I know, and I'm not going to say that with 100% certainty. Maybe somebody has gone down that theory previously. I have not seen it yet. But I truly believe whatever injuries that he has is consistent with him falling out of a moving vehicle. He was not on that road at that time, in the middle of the road walking. I don't believe that man's body was on that road at all at the time of his injury until he hit the road. That's what this information is telling me in my head. That's how my brain works. Your brains may work a lot different than mine. And you know what? That's okay. I really, 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 really pray that you guys, if you have a theory, I want to hear it because I'd really like to look into it. There's, like I said, no wrong or right answers with this because we don't know what happened. We're trying to look into all possibilities of what happened. But this is the first time that I thought maybe this, literally over the last few days, is the first time that I started changing my perception of this case. And this light bulb went off over my head and said, I don't even think he was on that pavement when he lost his life. I feel like he was he was on something moving. It would explain to me, in my mind, the way my brain works, it would explain to me why he has a dislocated shoulder and fractures and minimal road rash. Because when he fell, he hit, and that's where he rested. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Bullhorn Betty channel, where we make you think over here, right? We give you some information. We make you think. I'm still not off. I have to be honest. You're probably saying Betty's changed her mind. She doesn't believe this is murder. She thinks this is an accident. To be honest with you, I'm thinking both ways now. Everything I'm looking at with both lenses. Still in my heart, like even as I'm reading all this information, and I know I should be physically changing, like the information that I'm reading here is so overwhelming that he most likely fell out of a moving vehicle. And again, I could be very wrong about that. Ken Kinsey may come out and say he was hit with, like my mom said, like a steel. He was walking in the middle of the road and a truck with one of those big mirrors came up and whacked him in the head. That may very well be what we find out. And he was on that roadway and walking down the roadway, and that's just what happened. That might be what happened, right? But he also might have went over from a vehicle, moving vehicle. But even with that whole theory of him being hit with the mirror of a vehicle as he's walking down the road, how did he dislocate his shoulder? Think about that. We have children. I guarantee there's somebody right here that has a child that's a boy that's in a football team that has gotten injured from what? Impact. Like, say, an impact from falling from something onto a hard pavement while moving. It has a funny way of dislocating things in the body. So, and then with it being on the right side, the shoulder and the whole entire melon just fractured. That sounds like a hard impact on a hard surface to me. So just something to think about. Mull it over. Do your own research. When we come back here tonight, I want to hear your theory on it. I want to hear your theory on it. So before we close out the segment this morning rather, I want to have a few moments to talk about Derek Chavez. Okay. I did hear he was stabbed. You guys understand. I'm not very a happy camper right now. Our prison systems have a duty to keep our prisoners safe. And this is a particular case that I'm not popular for my stance, that I just don't believe this man committed a crime that rose to the level of 25 years. And I will maintain that. And I don't really care how much I get beat up for it. If his actions were willful and intentional, I would say put him under the jail. But that is not what we have here. We have an officer that made a terrible decision on the job that lost a man his life, period. Okay? This 25 years nonsense is bullshit, in my opinion, if you really want me to be frank with it. And then you put an officer that made a terrible decision in general population or wherever the hell he was so he could get stabbed, so much so that he is fighting for his life. A man that was dutiful in everything that he did. Did he have some issues? I don't know. I have no idea. Did he make a terrible decision on a job? He did. Thank God every one of us, when we make a terrible decision on a job, it's paperwork. It's a paper cut, right? It's not a life or death situation. Well, that's not the choice that these officers have to make every single day. He was convicted in a court of law, and I have to accept that, and so does everybody else. But it is the duty of our prison systems, our federal prison systems, which you do not want to get me started on the federal government, because I really don't give a shit when it comes to the federal government. I will be the pimple on the ass of the federal government every day of the week if I could. Let me just tell you, if you don't know my disdain for the federal government, let me be very clear on that. This man had no business being there. He had no business. He was just freshly convicted. He has been, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Did he do wrong? Yes. Does he deserve to lose his life over it? No. No, he does not. No, he does not. And this is what I'm going to say to our federal government. Do better. That's been my messaging since I have been making my rounds. I can tell you that. My messaging for my community, for my state, and for our country is do better. That is my campaign. That is my drumbeat. That is my march. Do better. I know some people don't agree. You know, some people think this Derek Chavez guy is just a horrible monster. You know, thank God you weren't put in that position. And thank God it's not you. It's so easy to say we would make different decisions. It's always so easy to judge and to have hindsight after the situation is over and done with. But you know what? You didn't have the experience. You weren't there firsthand. You don't know what the hell happened. And even in court, we know that through the pretrial hearings and motions, there's a lot of stuff that was removed from that trial that we will never hear about. I will never condone police violence, ever. I will never condone excessive force. I will never, ever, ever I don't care who it is, I will never condone those behaviors. And anybody that shows those behaviors needs to be held accountable. They need to be held accountable. The problem with me is, what does accountable look like? Because I'm telling you right now, in this case, me and the feds and those courts, we ain't seeing eye to eye on what accountability looks like. 25 years, to me, is extreme and excessive and goes against the law. That's me personally. Just my opinion. Does this man deserve to be in the hospital fighting for his life right now? It makes me sick that he is. And you know what? Sorry, but there's a little hint of setup here for me. And let me just be very correct on that. What I'm trying to say is I believe that somebody from that prison intentionally dropped the ball, if I'm not clear enough. Do better. God bless.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.